Leadership is a complex subject. I'm 69 years old and I'm still learning. I intend to be a student of leadership until the day I die. But I will never lose sight of the truth that leadership starts with influence and builds from there. Please keep that in mind as you read this chapter. Does everyone have the potential to be an effective leader? Everyone has the potential to lead on some level, and anyone can become better at leading. While it is true that some people are born with traits that help them to become better leaders than others, those natural traits are only the beginning. Great leaders don't start out great. Leadership is developed, not discovered. It's a process. Three main components come into play in the development of a leader: environment, incarnation of leadership. A person's environment has a tremendous impact on him or her. Leadership is more caught than taught. If you grew up in a leadership environment, you probably recognized your own leadership ability early. If you're in a positive leadership environment now, you are probably having leadership qualities encouraged in you, and they may be starting to come out. The right environment always makes learning easier. If you're not in a leadership environment now, and have never spent time in one, you may be having difficulty knowing what it means to lead. If so, you will need to find a positive leadership environment to help you in your leadership development. Is it possible to learn leadership without a conducive environment? Yes, but it's difficult, and your development will be slow. What does a growth environment look like? Others are ahead of me. I am continually challenged. My focus is forward. The atmosphere is affirming. I am often out of my comfort zone. I wake up excited. Failure is not my enemy. Others are growing. People desire change. Growth is modeled and expected. Exposure, inspiration for leadership. One of the things I find most inspiring is exposure to great leaders. I love to hear great leaders speak. I get ideas from reading their books. I enjoy asking them questions. I get fired up watching them lead. I am even inspired by getting to visit their workspaces. I've also visited every presidential library. When my wife Margaret and I visit a library, we spend an entire day just soaking in leadership and being inspired by it. Where will you go for leadership inspiration? Whom do you admire as leaders? Plan to go hear someone you admire speak. Take a trip to a presidential library or a museum. Make an appointment to interview an impactful leader. Get inspired. Equipping, intention for leadership. The one thing you can do to have the greatest impact on your leadership potential is to be intentional every day about becoming equipped to lead. Every book you read, every lesson you absorb, every principle you apply helps you to become a better leader and takes you another step forward in your leadership potential. Leadership is influence, and it can be learned. You can learn to connect with people. You can learn how to communicate. You can learn to plan and strategize. You can learn to prioritize. You can learn how to get people to work together. You can learn how to train and equip people. You can learn to inspire and motivate others. Most leadership skills can be taught to people, people can be equipped to lead. What is your plan for leadership growth? If you do not have a plan, the odds are against your growing as a leader. Set some goals and develop a personal strategy to grow in the coming year. Then break down the plan into daily and weekly disciplines. How can you be a leader if you're at the bottom? The good news is that you can be a leader no matter where you are. You don't need a title. You don't need a position. You don't need a formal education. All you need to begin is the desire to lead and the willingness to learn. The key is influence. Leadership is influence. Your ability to influence others will be the single greatest factor in your success as a leader. Influence is an invitation anyone can make to another person. Influencing others is a choice. We can be indifferent to people, pursue our own agendas, have bad attitudes, and refuse to work with a team. Or we can care about people, be inclusive, work to be positive, cooperate with others, and try to positively influence them. Every day it is our choice. If we choose to try to influence people, we can lead from anywhere. Our influence is not equal in all areas. Just because you have influence with someone doesn't mean you have influence with everyone. Influence must develop with each individual. The most effective leaders are intentional about trying to influence others positively. And they understand that they have to work to increase their influence with individual people. With influence comes responsibility. In our culture, people tend to focus on their rights. People who desire to lead often seek leadership positions because of the perks and privileges. However, as leaders we should always be aware that leadership carries responsibility, that what we do affects the people whose feelings and well-being are within our influence. The influence we have with others will be positive or negative. We choose which one it will be. People of positive influence add value to others. Groundbreaking Major League Baseball player Jackie Robinson observed, "A life isn't significant except for its impact upon other lives." If you choose to influence others and become a better leader, I hope you will do so to add value to others. What is the ultimate purpose of leadership? First and foremost, leadership is about adding value to people. If you want to be successful as a leader, you need to make others better. You need to help them remove self-imposed limitations and encourage them to reach their potential. You can do that by doing the following: listen to their story and ask questions. You don't really understand people until you hear their life story. If you know their stories, you grasp their history, their hurts, their hopes and aspirations. You put yourself in their shoes. And just by virtue of listening and remembering what's important to them, you communicate that you care and desire to add value. Make their agendas your priority. Too many leaders think that leadership is all about themselves. Good leaders focus on the needs and wants of their people, and as far as it is within their power, they make their people's hopes and dreams a priority. There is great power when the vision of the organization and the dreams of its people come into alignment, and everybody wins. Believe in them. If you want to help people, believe in them. When people believe in themselves, they perform better. That's why I say it's wonderful when the people believe in the leader, but it's more wonderful when the leader believes in the people. To increase people's belief in themselves, express your belief in them. In general, people rise to the level of your expectations. If you see the value in everyone and let them know that you value them, it helps the organization, and it helps you as a leader. Discuss ways to accomplish their visions and create plans that fit them. When you know what makes people tick and you understand their hopes and dreams, you have the potential to add value to them in a powerful way. Talk to them about ways to help them accomplish their vision while they do their work, and help the organization. Then, together, formulate a plan to help them do it. Help them until the vision is accomplished. It's one thing to say you want to help people on your team. It's another to actually follow through and assist them all along the way. When you follow through, you not only help them, you also build your leadership credibility in your influence, not only with them, but with everyone on the team. There is no downside to adding value to people. Yes, it will cost you time and effort. But when you add value to people, you help them and make them more valuable. If you're a leader, when your people are on purpose and content, you help your team. When your team is more effective, you help your organization, because it becomes better. And the whole process will bring you a deep sense of satisfaction. What is the difference between delegating and abdicating responsibility? When leaders hand off tasks to others, they typically do it in one of two ways: they delegate tasks or they dump them. People who abdicate responsibility neglect leadership when they dump tasks on other people. Good leaders always take into account the skills, abilities, and interests of the person doing the work. Dumping usually happens on the spur of the moment. It ignores the person's need for more information or training. Dumping often occurs when people in authority want to get rid of a problem or remove an unpleasant task from their plate. In contrast, Good delegation includes carefully selecting the right person for a task. Good leaders take into account the skills and abilities best suited to complete the task at hand. Leaders who delegate well establish what the goals are, grant the authority to get the job done, and supply the necessary resources for the job, yet encourage independent action on the part of the person doing the work. In the end, the leader who delegates the job is still responsible for seeing that the job gets done. What is the greatest challenge in answering the call to leadership? The greatest challenge in leadership is making decisions that affect other people. It's hard to make good decisions every day for people. But the fact that decision-making can be difficult and painful doesn't let leaders off of the hook. They still need to make early and tough decisions, because leaders who decline to make decisions create insecurity among followers and undermine their own leadership. If you want to become a better leader, become willing to make tough choices and uncomfortable decisions. Those may include the following: courageous decisions. What must be done? Hard-won progress often comes as the result of difficult decisions that can be scary. Sometimes the organization is on the line and the only people in a position to make the courageous calls are the leaders. Priority decisions. What must be done first? It is the responsibility of leaders to look ahead, see the bigger picture, understand the greater vision, and make decisions based on the priorities of the whole team and organization. Change decisions. What must be done differently? One of the most difficult yet vital roles of leaders is to be change agents for the sake of the team and organization. Most people don't like change. They fear it and resist it. But leaders often provide the education and impetus for making changes. Creative decisions. What might be possible? Sometimes making tough decisions calls for experience. But often what's really beneficial is creativity. Good leaders think outside the box and help the team break through barriers and cover new ground. People decisions. Who should and should not be involved? The most difficult of all decisions often directly involve people. It's not always easy to find the right person for a given job. It's even more difficult to decide whether someone is no longer right for the team. In fact, this is such an important and complex process that I've dedicated Chapter 4 to resolving conflict and leading challenging people. Though decision-making is difficult, it is vital to good leadership. H.W. Andrews asserted, "Not all of your decisions will be correct. None of us is perfect. But if you get into the habit of making decisions, experience will develop your judgment to a point where more and more of your decisions will be right. And as a result, you will become a better leader." Can a leader actually lead and serve at the same time? It is a common misconception that it's the role of followers to serve and of leaders to be served. That is a faulty view of good leadership. Most potential leaders overestimate the perks and underestimate the price of leadership. When they focus on the benefits of leadership, they become self-serving. If you want to be the best leader you can possibly be, no matter how much or how little natural leadership talent you possess, you need to become a serving leader. And here's the good news: it's a choice. What it takes to serve others is within your control. 1. Serving others is an attitude issue. Leon A. Gorman of L.L. Bean observed, "Service is just a day in, day out, ongoing, never-ending, unremitting, persevering, compassionate type of activity. First and foremost, it's a matter of attitude. And it's contagious. If you serve your people well, and the members of your team in turn serve you well, it will further motivate you to serve them, creating a positive cycle. 2. Serving others is a motives issue. Robert K. Greenleaf, founder of the Robert K. Greenleaf Center for Servant Leadership, observed, "The servant leader is servant first. It begins with the natural feeling that one wants to serve first. If you go into leadership with the motive to serve others, the team, and the organization, it will be hard for you to go wrong." 3. Serving others is a values issue. If you value people, you will want to add value to them and serve them. Everything you will accomplish as a leader ultimately hinges on the people you work with. Without them, your success as a leader will be greatly limited. Every day, organizations are responsible for the greatest waste in business, that of human potential. If you can develop people and help them discover their strength zones, everybody wins. I believe there is no division between serving and leading. The foundation of effective leadership is actually service. People can tell what your attitude is. It shows in everything you do. Good leaders see their role as that of servant, facilitator, value adder, success bringer, but they do this quietly, without fanfare. Questions leaders should ask about serving. Are you a serving leader? To find out, ask yourself these questions. 1. Why do I want to lead others? 2. How important is status to me? 3. Do others work for me or with me? 4. Am I glad to serve others and do it cheerfully? 5. Is my team better because I am on it? 6. Exactly how is it better? If you find it difficult or beneath you to serve others, your heart may not be right. To earn the right to lead in greater things, first learn to serve in smaller ones. What are the top skills required to lead people through sustained difficult times? One of the most challenging tasks any leader faces is being a change agent and leading people through tough times. But it can also be one of the most rewarding. Tough times show us ourselves. The people we lead find out who they are. As leaders, we also find out what we're made of. The best way to approach tough times is to try to see them as opportunities. Most people want their problems to be fixed without their having to face them, but that is an impossibility. As a leader, as a coach, as a catalyst for turnaround, you need to help people solve problems, take responsibility, and work to make things better. Most of the time, people need to dig themselves out of their difficulties, whether or not they were the cause of them. They need help, which you can give them in the form of advice, encouragement, and positive reinforcement, but everyone needs to do his or her part and work together. With that context in mind, here is how I would recommend that you lead and serve people during difficult times. 1. Define reality. Most people's reaction to tough times or a crisis is to say, let's forget the whole thing. So what is a leader to do? Define reality for people. As the leader of a team, you need to help people define the things that are holding them back. Then you need to define the things that will free them up. People cannot make good choices if they don't know what these things are, and many have a hard time figuring them out on their own. You're there to help them. 2. Remind them of the big picture. Leaders are keepers and communicators of the vision. They bear the responsibility for always seeing the big picture and helping their people to see it. People need to be reminded of why they are doing what they do, and of the benefits that await them as a reward for their hard work. That doesn't mean that the vision is 100% clear to the leader, especially during difficult times. But that's okay. When I'm leading people through a difficult situation, I often don't know all the answers. But I know there are answers, and I will do everything I can to make sure we find out what they are. That gives people reassurance. 3. Help them develop a plan. If you have helped people by defining reality and showing them the big picture, the next task is to identify the steps required to go from here to there. Not everyone finds it easy to do that. As a leader, you need to come alongside them and help them figure it out. 4. Help them make good choices. People's choices define who they are and determine where they go. It's true that we don't choose everything we get in life, but much of what we get comes from what we've chosen. As a leader, the more good choices you have made throughout your life, the better you have probably positioned yourself to help others, not only because you have gained experience and developed wisdom, but also because repeated good choices often lead to personal success and greater options. If these things are true for you, put them to good use by helping others navigate difficult waters. 5. Value and promote teamwork. When times get tough, everybody needs to work together if they want to get the team out of trouble. No team can win and keep winning unless everyone works together. It's the responsibility of leaders to promote teamwork and get team members cooperating and working together. 6. Give them hope. Hope is the foundation of change. If we continue to hold hope high, and we help others to do the same, there is always a chance to move forward and succeed. Crisis holds the opportunity to be reborn. Difficult times can discipline us to become stronger. Conflict can actually renew our chances of building better relationships. It's not always easy to remember these things. As leaders, our job is to remind people of the possibilities and to help them succeed. Is it possible to be a leader in all areas of your life? The short answer to this question is no. And here's why. You cannot develop influence with everyone. There isn't enough time in a day or enough days in a year. Developing influence is a process. So choose where you will invest yourself to develop influence and become an effective leader. The leadership skills you develop will help you in all areas of life, but you cannot expect to lead in every area of life. That simply isn't realistic. What are the rhythms of leadership as you age? The decades of life are not the same for everyone. We all know that. And there are both positives and negatives to every age. But you can look at the decades of a leader's life and make some generalizations about them. 20s, alignment, we build our foundation and prepare for future success. 30s, adjustment, we try different things and find out what works and what doesn't. 40s, advancement, we focus on our strength zone and make the most of what works. 50s, assessment, we reevaluate our priorities and hopefully shift from success to significance. 60s, ascendance, we reach the top of our game and the height of our influence. Of course, not everyone's life works out this way. That's why I believe it's more useful to think of our lives in terms of seasons. Every season has a beginning and an end. Our lives are not static. Even if a person chooses not to grow, life does not remain the same. People who refuse to grow professionally decline. While we are in a season of life, we should do all we can at that time. Too often people give less than their best, thinking they can make it up later. What they don't understand is that once a season has ended, they often can't go back. They don't get another chance. When the new season comes, we need to be ready to make the appropriate changes to move on to it. Another truth is that the seasons always come in sequence. Spring always follows winter. The same is true of the seasons of success. You cannot harvest life's rewards without first planting seeds. Yet many people want to spend their entire lives in the harvest season. It just doesn't happen. Each of us is responsible for managing the seasons of our own lives. We have all been given seeds. We all have to weather storms and drought. And it's up to us to plant and cultivate several crops for life simultaneously. We must recognize that we may be in one season of family life, a different season of spiritual life, and yet another of leadership life. We must do what's right for the season in each area, and do things in order, if we want to eventually see harvests in life. Many people fail because they are out of sync with time and place in their seasons of life. When this happens, they become frustrated and may begin to believe that it's impossible for them to achieve anything significant, and that leads to discouragement. I believe it is possible for all people to reap a rewarding harvest according to their ability, but they must learn the secret to mastering each of the 4 seasons. Winter is the season for planning. For unsuccessful people, winter is a time of hibernation, drudgery, and low expectations. For successful people, winter is a time of beginnings. This is the time for vision and dreams. It is a time of anticipation. Goals are set and plans are made during winter. In any individual area of life where you're experiencing a winter, spend some time thinking about the harvest you hope to reap someday. Think big about what could be. Then plan how you will get there. Identify your crops and their seasons. Which areas of life are important to you? These are the fields where you plant the crops for your life. Have you already identified them? If not, make a list. Once you have identified the areas of light that are important to you, determine which season you are in for each. This will help you to work your way through each of the seasons. Remember, you will not be in the same season in every area. Spring is the season for planting. People who don't understand the seasons of life get spring fever. They continue to daydream when they need to be working. Successful people have spring fervor. They understand that spring is the time to put winter plans and ideas into action. It's a time for enthusiastic activity. It takes energy, perseverance, and sacrifice. And it takes good timing. This is why people who get a head start in life are sometimes able to make such a great impact. If you've missed opportunities to plant in the past, don't keep waiting. Start moving. The sooner you plow and plant, the better your chance to see a good harvest. Summer is the season for perspiration. When you mention summer to most people, they think of vacation. But for the successful person, summer is the time for continual regular cultivation, watering, and fertilization. It is a time of great growth. In winter many people dream of success. Some realize that they must learn and grow to achieve their goals and live their dreams. Those people plant in spring by taking a tangible step toward growth, buying a book, finding a mentor, identifying a conference that will help them. But for many people, the effort stops there. They don't read the book, follow through with the advice of their mentor, or attend the conference, or they do but don't apply what they learn. They stop sweating through the hard, tedious, sometimes painful, but always productive work that summer requires. Summer can be a taxing season. The days are long and there's more work that needs to be done than there are hours in the day. But successful people keep at it. They put in the effort, even though they can't really see that it's paying off. And that's how it often is when you're cultivating. You just have to keep working and trust that the plans you made in winter and the hard work you're doing now are going to pay off if you stick with them. Autumn is the season for produce. Just as watching trees lose their leaves can bring some people feelings of loss, some people realize only when it's too late that they should have made hay while the sun shone. However, to successful people who have made the most of each season, autumn is a time of reaping. It is the time when they receive the products of their labor. It brings feelings of accomplishment. There is no better season of life. Your ultimate goal as a leader should be to work hard enough and strategically enough that you have more than enough to give and share with others. Maybe you didn't get to start as early as others did. That doesn't matter. Wherever you find yourself, do what's right for the season. Give it all you've got, and don't worry too much about the outcome. In time, if you understand the seasons and work with them, the harvest will come.